Hey, what's going on, guys? So I just got back from watching Captain America Civil War, so I wanted to give my overall spoiler-free review of the movie. Now, I'll be putting up a spoiler-full review of the movie later sometime tomorrow. But in this one, I'm just going to be covering just the basic things without spoiling anything. So Captain America Civil War is a big tie-in sequel to all the Marvel movies that we've had so far. It's starting all the way back from Iron Man 1. And before you even watch this movie, you have to have seen, all of the Phase 1 and Phase 2 Marvel movies. If you haven't, and you've only seen, say, both Avengers films and Winter Soldier, then you can build off of that and you'll still be able to understand the movie. But before we get started, I just want to point out that Civil War is the longest running Marvel film of all time. The previous one was the first Avengers film, which came in at 2 hours and 23 minutes. Civil War is about 2 hours and 27 minutes long. Civil War is also the start of Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So let's start off with the story. Civil War is a follow-up to Avengers Age of Ultron and Captain America Winter Soldier. The story revolves around most of the Avengers and how the government thinks that these superheroes need to be put in check. So the government comes up with this plan to regulate the superheroes, the Sokovia Accords. Sokovia Accords are pretty much makes all the superheroes work under the United Nations and the government, and also reveals all the secret identities of these superheroes. So this whole regulation starts creating all these internal conflicts and all these differences between Iron Man and Captain America. All these differences later on force other heroes like Vision, War Machine, Ant-Man, all these people to just side with either Team Iron Man or Team Captain America. I won't be covering who's on what team just because I'm pretty sure we've all seen a trailer and all the TV spots, so we've seen that like 1,000 times. We know who's on what team. Now, the story, in my opinion, is definitely the most emotional and the most double-sided story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What I mean by double-sided, Team Iron Man has their own point of view, and then Team Captain America has their own point of view. Throughout the film, you may side with Tony. Before the start of the film, you may side with Tony. But by the end of the film, you'll kind of understand what the other side means, and you may switch sides or you may not. But they create Team Iron Man's perspective and Team Captain America's perspective, and it just breaks the story into like two pieces, like what this group thinks, what this group thinks. That's what I mean by double-sided. As for the emotional aspects, would be the huge plot twist around the end of the movie. There's another reason why Tony and Steve fight in this movie. It's not just because of the Sokovia Accords. I wouldn't say what the other reason is, though. It's really tragic. You really feel for these characters, and you really feel bad that they're fighting, but you understand the conflict that they're going through and how that this conflict needs to be settled. So now I'm going to talk about the characters. I'll start with the main ones. So Robert Downey Jr.'s performance was absolutely perfect, in my opinion. This is probably the best acting I've seen from him. There's just scenes where like his surprised look and his serious and like emotional look. It's great. That's what really attaches you to the character, in my opinion. It's definitely his strongest performance I've seen. As for his new suit, it looks awesome. I'm digging the whole new shape of the arc reactor in his suit, and just overall, just the new suit just looks awesome. And as for Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, it's just perfect acting from him. Pretty much in every Marvel movie he's been in, he kills it. It's perfect. But this movie was definitely, the highest point that I've seen his acting at. This is the best acting I've seen from him, and I just love that. The next one is the newest members of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is Black Panther. First off, I just want to say that I absolutely love the new suit that he has. It's just super detailed and it looks so badass. The suit also provides him with a lot of new enhancements, which puts him toe-to-toe against literally every character in the movie. I don't want to say every single character, but most of the characters. And it's so badass. I love his fighting style. It's something that we haven't seen anything like that before, and it's just so cool. So next, overall, Chadwick Boseman just kills it in this movie. He's this man on the hunt, and he will take whatever measures needed to reach his goal. The next character is Ant-Man, and just like in his solo movie, Paul Rudd just knocks it out of the park. His comedy is just perfect, and I actually laughed my ass off at certain points in the movie for just things that he said and things that he did, and it was great to see. And his new suit also looks really cool. I'd say it's about as good as the one that we've seen in the Ant-Man movie, if not slightly better. On the next one that everybody's been waiting for, Spider-Man. Now, right off the bat, I just want to say that this is probably the best live-action Spider-Man that we've ever had. And it's like they took everything that was good about Andrew Garfield, and it took everything that was good about Tobey Maguire, and they just mixed it together into this perfect masterpiece. And you absolutely cannot get any better than this. Just an amazing, absolutely amazing performance by Tom Holland. As for other characters like Hawkeye and Black Widow, they had some pretty great performances as well. Black Widow's just one of those characters in this movie which is kind of just stuck in between. Throughout the movie, you understand her perspective from both sides, and it's nice to see. You really feel for the character. You feel it's something you can relate to. You're like, okay, yeah, I understand where Tony's coming from. I also understand where Steve's coming from, and that's one thing that I really like. Hawkeye just provides a lot of comic relief, and in the best way possible. It's just one of the reasons why I love Jeremy Renner, is because he's such a well-rounded actor. He just brings, there's a lot of serious movies he's done, and there's this comedy that he does in these Avengers and Marvel movies, and it's so great to see. Every time Jeremy Renner says any kind of comedy, I just laugh my ass off. It's great. That's the kind of comedy that I like. Lastly is Vision and Scarlet Witch. Now, their performances were amazing as well. Vision provides a lot of comic relief in this movie as well. He's just like character trying to fit in with everybody else, wearing like human clothes, and he's trying to act like a normal human being, and it's funny to see because at times where he messes up, or he's trying too hard. It was pretty funny to see. As for Scarlet Witch, her performance was really good as well. I'd say it's definitely a lot better than Age of Ultron's. On top of that, I'd say her best moments are definitely in the airport fight scene. Just the way she uses her powers in that scene is just so cool to see, all those special effects and stuff. So that's the main points that I covered. I want to talk about the other great stuff that's in the movie. So for the action sequences are hands down the best action sequences that I've seen in any comic book movie. It's just the way these directors made the action sequences with all these camera angles and all the fight scenes. It was just perfect. Like you cannot get any better than this in a comic book movie fight scene. It was so good. Don't have enough words to describe it. So next is the overall balance of the film. I'd say the directors did such an amazing job creating this perfect balance between the fight scenes and the dialogue scenes. There was no scene in this movie that felt like it was dragging on too long. It was like, okay, yeah, they've talked enough, or it's like, okay, yeah, they just keep fighting. Like, are we ever gonna finish? There was none of that. It's like fighting, a little bit of dialogue, some more fighting, a little bit more dialogue, and more fighting, and then it's just a mixture of that, and it was just a perfect balance. At no point did I feel like the movie was just dragging on. Finally, there is a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene in this movie, but they both scenes will lead up to something a lot bigger for the Phase 3, and it's just the mid-credit scene will get you really excited, but the post-credit scene will get you even more excited. I won't say what either of those two are. I'll save those for my spoiler-full review. But overall, I give Captain America Civil War a 10 out of 10. This is just the perfect Marvel Cinematic movie that we could have asked for. It takes everything that we know and love from the previous movies, a lot on it, throws those in with some new aspects, and it just mixes everything together into this beautiful, perfect masterpiece. That's all I've got for you guys. Just a quick review, just my overall review of Captain America Civil War. If you enjoyed it, then smack the like button. That was appreciated. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button to see more content like this. See you guys next time.